Hello and welcome to Reflecting Light. It's great to be with you on this third Advent. Hope you're doing well. This Advent week, I'd like to focus on a different aspect of Advent that perhaps we don't think about, and that's how we ourselves approach Advent. If Advent is looking forward to the coming of the Lord, how are we poised to do that? And how are we thinking of ourselves in terms of that? So to start out, I'd like to quote a scripture from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:48, in which the Lord says, "Therefore you shall be perfect, as the Father of you who is heavenly is perfect." Now the word here, teleos, means to be complete, to having reached its end, or to be full grown, of full age, or to have a complete Christian character. I think perfectionism has taken over much of Christianity in the sense that we are unwilling or unanxious or unhappy or scared to meet the Lord, to see him, or more importantly, to have him see us as we are. But teleos, the root of tel, means to reach the end aim. And the best illustration I found for this is as with a pirate's telescope, this act of unfolding or extending out one stage at a time to function at full strength, capacity, or effectiveness. That's the definition given from BibleHub.com. And I love that because I feel it's so critical that as we look at ourselves in conjunction with meeting the Lord, that there is a beautiful excitement about that there's a beautiful reaching from us, because there certainly is a reaching from them to us. And I feel like we're the ones who tend to draw away from it because of current or the modern translation of perfect, which is perfectionism, without flaw, without any reason for censure. And that's just not even possible. The gods are perfect, but they are not perfectionists. Think about that. How can you become or exist even now in perfectness, in this willingness to continue to expand or extending yourself out one stage at a time until you are eventually able to function at full strength, capacity, or awareness? Authenticity, according to one gentleman that I spoke with who had a near-death experience, and of course, I believe I've talked about this recently, but it's fascinating to me that when I said, I have to ask you one question, and he said, go for it. And when I asked him my question, which was, what is the most important thing in heaven? And fully expecting that he was going to say, love, he said, it's not love, it's authenticity. I think about that so much, my friends. We are all uniquely designed. We all have unique purposes and capacities and light and darkness and mixtures of all of these things of heaven and earth. And that's what makes you so remarkably beautiful and unique. And so when the invitation is to be teleos, it means to be complete, to be as expanded as you can be. But it has nothing to do with this arbitrary, and I mean arbitrary, unclear standard of perfectionism. There's only one perfect being in that sense, and that's the Lord. But I guarantee that the Lord wants to see you as complete and expanded as you can be at this point. But the expectation is not that you're perfect or without flaw, that you're so magnificently yourself, and that you can smile and stand and laugh and weep and be who you truly are in His face. Imagine how much more rewarding and significant and truly just soul filling to be in His presence completely as yourself and to experience Him as He is completely Himself. Our beautiful uniqueness is what makes relationships so rich. And so as you ponder the coming of the Lord, I would ask you to think of yourself in that equation. Sharon Salzberg said, patience doesn't mean making a pact with the devil of denial, ignoring our emotions and aspirations. It means being wholeheartedly engaged in the process that's unfolding, rather than ripping open a budding flower or demanding a caterpillar hurry up and get that chrysalis stage over with. There's a certain reverence and patience with life, with ourselves, with our situations, and with everything that is required of us here, that it hopefully gives us pause and gives us a greater appreciation for ourselves exactly as we are today in this moment, exactly as we show up, as we're being our truest, most authentic self. So may I invite you to ponder this question. Ponder what a meeting with the Lord would look like, how you would show up, and how you want to be seen. There certainly is no pretense with the Lord. There's nothing that can be hidden. And so the more we're able to be authentic in our spiritual relationships, I feel the more rewarding they are. Being able to talk honestly with the Lord about what's hard or what's wonderful or what's stretching you, what's tough, what's magnificent. These are the riches of eternity, my friends, that we are experiencing even now as we stumble and falter and miss the mark and make errors. But we're so magnificently engaged in this mortal strife, this mortal coil, as Hamlet says. And that is the beauty of being you. To close, I'd like to read one of my favorite poems. Now, it is a love poem, but I want to transpose it just a little bit today to think about being in relationship with heaven and how they see us and how we allow ourselves to be seen. Do we have this vulnerability? Do we have this capacity to be shaped and molded by the Master's hand? And do we have this reverence for life and for who we are right now as we're struggling and making our way? This poem is by Cummings. It's called Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, Gladly Beyond. Somewhere I have never traveled, gladly beyond any experience, your eyes have their silence. In your most frail gesture are things which enclose me, or which I cannot touch because they are too near. Your slightest look easily will unclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. You always open petal by petal, myself, as spring opens, touching skillfully, mysteriously, her first rose. Or if your wish be to close me, I and my life will shut very beautifully, suddenly, as when the heart of this flower imagines the snow carefully everywhere descending. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering death and forever with each breathing. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens. Only something in me understands. The voice of your eyes is deeper than all roses. Nobody, not even the rain, has such small hands. My dear friends, the power of your intense fragility, your texture that compels colors of countries and renders death and forever with each breathing, is so uniquely yours and so magnificently part of your divine design. May you embrace your own perfection. May you be willing to expand and grow deeper and go beyond what is and continue to grow, but also be so willing and so beautifully excited to meet the Lord where you're at, so authentically and beautifully yourself. To this I say, come quickly, Lord, come. May this blessing be yours this week of Advent with so much Christmas love and light.